Hello, everyone, and welcome to EVTN News. It's a new era, not for this channel, of course, but yeah, it just seems like the world in general, there's a new era. And I guess one of the big things that was mentioned today at, um, at the inauguration was the fact that there are two genders, and if you don't agree with that biological fact, then you're probably not going to like what else I have to say. So that's sort of a nice warning sign to, you know, maybe look for a different channel that maybe fits more of your, uh, what do I want to say, alternative facts. So, anyway, I'm gonna take off my church militant magic glasses and okay, let's get into the news here. So, um, earlier in, well, sometime last year, I said I had Francis fatigue, and I wouldn't talk all that much about Francis, and here I am, where a lot of this news is about Francis. I will say he did say something about Trump, and I'm not actually going to talk about that at all. You can look that up if you want, because I feel like two stories about him. I think there's actually like a third story about him, but quotes, two stories where he's quoted is more than enough. I feel like so. I'm not gonna go on about that. I don't really think um, his political opinions are worth just spending much time on. Anyway, Francis released an autobiography on Tuesday titled Hope, which was supposed to be released after his death, but then he changed his mind and decided to release it before he died. Although I think isn't there a few autobiographies of him already? So like, okay, so what's the purpose? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, he took his opportunity to criticize some people he didn't like. So here's his quote: "From a sociological point of view, it is interesting to consider the phenomenon of traditionalism, this backwardism that regularly returns each century, this reference to a supposed perfect age, that each time is another age. It has now been ruled that the possibility of celebrating Mass in Latin following the Missal prior to the Second Vatican Council must be expressly authorized by the Dicastery for Divine Worship, who will allow it only in special cases. The motive for ushering in such sweeping restrictions for the ancient liturgy was for the reason that it is unhealthy for the liturgy to become ideology," which makes no sense. Um, he says it is curious to see this fascination for what is not understood, for what appears somewhat hidden, and seems also at times to interest the younger generations. This rigidity is often accompanied by elegant and costly tailoring, lace, fancy trimmings, and anyway, not a taste for tradition but clerical ostentation, which then is none other than an ecclesiastic version of individualism, not a return to the sacred, but to quite the opposite, to sectarian worldliness. Uh, he said these ways of dressing up sometimes conceal mental imbalance, emotional deviation, behavioral difficulties, a personal problem that may be exploited. Um, well, okay, so lots to think about there. Um, he said this is an ecclesiastic version of individualism. The Novus Ordo provides different options for a priest to say, so that's far more individualism. And often in certain prayers it says use these or similar words. You can invent your own prayers. Sectarian worldliness. Well, Latin and Gregorian chant is the music of the Roman Rite, but worldliness, wouldn't you use that to describe the music at the Novus Ordo and the decorations of churches and the setup of modern church buildings? Um, I can't believe. Well, maybe I can believe he doesn't see that, or maybe he just thinks we're dumb. And then this thing about mental imbalance. Well, there's this the newest catechism. It labels certain people as objectively disordered. If you know who I'm talking about, has something to do with the rainbow, and so when he talks about mental imbalance, who's mentally imbalanced? Who has mental imbalance, Francis? Is it Rupnik, your good friend? Or is it Zanchetto, who you covered up for his activities? And McCarrick, who was ignored by, well, supposedly Francis McElroy, Whirl, and he helped promote Tobin and Supich up the ranks. So Francis shouldn't be talking about mental imbalance when a lot of his friends are questionable, I guess we could just say. Emotional deviation, behavioral difficulties. Ooh, behavioral difficulties. Don't you think you should clean up seminaries before insulting trads? Behavioral difficulties. Kind of like Francis's friends. They have behavioral difficulties. Some of them end up in jail. Um, okay, and then here's another thing with Francis. So this is a little bit of a long explanation, so bear with me here. In April 2012, Pope Benedict created a special commission of three senior cardinals, Harans, Tomko, and Di Giorgi, and to investigate the nasty Vatican infighting that had resulted in the leaking of confidential documents that was quickly dubbed the VatiLeaks scandal. The cardinals submitted their report to Pope Benedict in July of the following year. Their conclusions were never made public, but according to rumors that circulated freely at the time, they had gone beyond the question of leaked documents to identify sources. Let's see here. They had to identify sources of trouble within the Roman Curia, including the presence of an influential lavender mafia. One fact about the Cardinals' report did not become public knowledge, however. It was huge. A thick dossier. So this was never publicized. Or the information contained in it was never publicized. The three cardinals evidently continued their research even after delivering their report. They met with Benedict again in December 2012 to discuss the implications of what they had reported. 2 months later, Benedict resigned. So this may have something to do with his resignation, but we can't say for sure. It doesn't seem like too many people really know. Shortly after Francis was elected in March 2013, the new pope traveled to Castel Gandolfo to meet with his predecessor. No details of their conversation were disclosed, but a photo of the occasion showed the two pontiffs, past and present, there at a table on which there was a large white box, apparently filled with documents. Quite naturally, reporters speculated that the box contained the dossier submitted by the Three Cardinal Commission. Now, with the publication of his autobiography, Hope, Francis has essentially confirmed that speculation. He reveals that Benedict had presented him with documents relating to the most difficult and painful situations, cases of abuse, corruption, dark dealings, wrongdoings. The retired pontiff, he says, had told Francis that now it was your turn to confront the mess. And Francis's turn has lasted nearly 12 years. During that time, Francis has never mentioned the Three Cardinals report, nor has he attacked the sources of corruption those senior prelates reportedly discovered. Quite the contrary, he's promoted these people. So he found out that information, realized they were his allies, and just ignored it, apparently. At least he seems to confirm that in his new book. So there you go. It's hard. I mean, it's impossible to explain that. Uh, but it's impossible for the Pope splainers to explain that. Anyway, all right, so moving on. Word on Fire. On its 25th anniversary, Word on Fire has announced plans to establish a new religious order of priests. The initiative outlined in a recent announcement aims to build on the organization's evangelization efforts and ensure their continuity in the years ahead. The Word on Fire order of priests will initially include 3 to 5 priests and a similar number of novices. Members of the order will live according to a rule developed by Bishop Barron and undergo advanced formation in Word on Fire's ethos of evangelization. A property in Rochester, Minnesota, acquired through a donor's contribution, will serve as the new order's community base. This location will allow the priests to live together and prepare for their work in Catholic outreach. So, I think new religious orders really just need to start with the bishop's approval, and then they just need to petition to the Vatican. And of course, since Bishop Barron is like founding this order, they already have his approval because it's in his diocese. I mean, I can't say I'm necessarily a supporter of the direction that Word on Fire goes, and Bishop Barron's reasonable hope that all are saved video is certainly one of the cringeworthy videos. I guess Bishop Barron went to Mundelein Seminary in Chicago, which was supposedly a hotbed of rainbow stuff. I mean, that was under Bernardine. So, if he was the most conservative person in that seminary, that doesn't really say a whole lot. But yeah, so that is what it is, and I don't know if they're just gonna try to sell stuff or what. I mean, I think religious orders returning to their roots are a good thing, and this is the establishment of a new religious order, kind of in the new Pentecost everyone likes to do, new new innovations and everything. Well, welcome. Are you a new comment? Are you a sede? No, no, but I don't judge. I don't judge. It's a the crisis in the church is so severe that I mean, who am I to judge? You know. Okay, the Bishop of Covington, Kentucky, who had previously celebrated a LMNOP Mass for a dissident organization, has suppressed a religious order which exclusively celebrates the Latin Mass, citing Pope Francis' crushing un proprio traditionis custodes. Bishop John Eifert announced to the faithful of his diocese last Tuesday that he had suppressed the Missionaries of St. John the Baptist, a group that hoped to establish a religious order in the Catholic Church consisting of 2 priests and several laymen based at Our Lady of Lourdes Church in Park Hills, Kentucky. So I actually talked about these guys in the past. I think he had shut down their masses or suspended their faculties or whatever, because there was a sermon that he took out of context, and I guess he didn't bother to talk to them about it, or maybe he did and decided to shut them down anyway, just because. Of course, he belongs to the Rainbow religion, so why would he want to endorse the Latin Mass? Because they oppose that. But anyway, this was what Father Shannon Collins. Well, the official decree of suppression was issued in July of 2024, which I had talked about then. Eifert explained that he delayed publishing the decree because the missionaries of St. John the Baptist had the right to request that he reconsider it and to appeal the decision before it took effect. It is unclear whether they appealed the decision. I assume that they did, and I'm sure that this bishop didn't take that into account at all because, He's into the rainbow stuff. So, yeah, there's that. And now the faithful just have to drive half an hour south to the SSPX Priory, and none of their money will go to the diocese. So that's good. Yeah, because we need to shut out these bishops, especially the ones that oppose the Catholic faith. So it's pretty sad. Meanwhile, Bishop Joe Vasquez, age 67, of Austin, Texas, was appointed the Archbishop of Galveston, Houston. He will succeed Cardinal Daniel DiNardo, age 75. I think a lot of times they leave cardinals in well past age 75. The popes usually leave them in at least until they request to leave, or they reach age 80. Francis appointed Vasquez as apostolic administrator of the neighboring diocese of Tyler to following the removal of Bishop Strickland in November of 23. And a year later, in November of 24, Bishop Vasquez abolished all 5 crowded Latin masses in the Diocese of Tyler, including at the cathedral. Only the mass celebrated at the FSSP parish remained. And Bishop Kelly was named the new bishop the following month. Now Vasquez has been rewarded for doing the dirty work in Tyler. So basically, Vasquez was appointed for the purpose of shutting down the Latin masses, it appears, and then, or maybe he was told to shut down the Latin masses, and then Bishop Kelly would be named his successor, so that Bishop Kelly gave the lay people the illusion that Bishop Kelly was coming in with a clean slate. Of course, the directive was already there, so Kelly could have been appointed and shut them down, but that would have gotten off to a bad start with mostly conservative. I don't want to say mostly, but there are many conservative people in the Diocese of Tyler. Most of them like Strickland. Some of the modernists did not, and they probably ratted him out, or probably screamed to have him removed, and they celebrated, and you get what you ask for. And Bishop Strickland had quite a few seminarians in his diocese. I think he had like 30, and it's a really small diocese, and people went there just for Strickland. Seminarians joined the diocese just for Strickland, which is kind of a strange way to go, I would say. But anyway, hopefully they're looking elsewhere. And if you want tradition, you only have a few options to go with. So there's that. If you really want, you could become Byzantine and help out in your own way. Or if there is someone who is a Byzantine, then they can do that, obviously, and that's actually their preferred option. Anyway, in terms of Houston, people thought that Bishop Daniel Flores, the synodal superstar, may have had a shot at this position. I mean, I would have guessed he would be the one to be appointed. But his name is coming up as a favorite for New York. And I actually think that, well, some people think that. I actually think that now he is a possibility for Los Angeles, because if he's doing this synodal stuff, then he'd be perfect for being plugged in there to stay silent on Mahoney's abuse payouts. And yeah, Gomez is 75, so his replacement could be named any day. I'm still surprised that Bishop Stowe hasn't been promoted, just because he's so radical, and it seems like people like McElroy get promotions. Why not Stowe? And also Eifert. He's turned into a bit of a rainbow superstar who has a nice reputation for crushing the mass. So, yeah, Yeah, that's now DiNardo himself. I think he's had some health issues, and so it wasn't like he was necessarily. He may have requested to have a replacement named, just because he may not, he may not be up to the job anymore, considering his health. And of course, it probably does take a toll on your health. And if you can just if you can just sit around. Now, I don't expect, like, some of these bishops, I don't expect them to sit around and watch, Days of Our Lives or whatever. I'm sure some of them do, but some of them probably watch CNN all the time, which is kind of funny. But some of them probably spend the day in prayer. I mean, it's almost like their retirement is almost like a second vocation, like a monastic point of their life. And some of them take it seriously, so that's very good. I definitely wish him the best, and I hope that he utilizes this, Cardinal DiNardo, that is. I hope he utilizes this portion of his life to, um, to just grow deeper in prayer. And that's really, I mean, honestly, we're all called to grow deeper in prayer every day. And I just wonder sometimes, like, I watch videos and sporting events, and I just wonder, what good is it? I don't know. I like watching that stuff, but what does it do for me? And following all these sports and knowing these player names and everything, my judgment, what will that do for me? So hopefully a lot of these athletes make it to heaven. Okay. Anyway, that was way off topic. Um, all right. So here's the interesting news today, and I'm not quite sure how to interpret this. Francis met with Bishop Schneider today on Monday, the 20th. Monday, January. Is it the 20th? Yes. Um, this morning, it was unexpectedly reported today that Francis had received Schneider in a private audience. The subject of the meeting, I'm sorry, I'm just stumbling. The subject of the meeting is not yet known. Bishop Schneider has been critical of aspects of Pope Francis's teachings while maintaining that his papacy is legitimate. So I heard this, and I'm not sure what I think of this, but some suspect that it may have something to do with new SSPX bishops. I'll believe it when I see it, because considering how Strickland was kind of crushed and cracked down on, and he's going to get, people think he'll be excommunicated pretty soon. Uh, Schneider has been critical of Francis, and he says about how he must resist and everything. So, but there was speculation that Schneider, I don't, and I'm just reporting, I'm spitballing here on just rumors I've seen, and I don't know how well sourced these rumors are, but Schneider, people say that Schneider was the one who did the apostolic visitation of an SSPX seminary, or he did an apostolic visitation of the SSPX or something a few years ago. I don't know why the Vatican would have him do that. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it's the Francis Church. Nothing makes sense. Black is white, left is right, up is down. Um, so that's a possibility. And people, there was, I guess, someone was speculating that Bishop Schneider may have given his recommendations to Francis on which SSPX priests would be good bishops. I don't know. I don't want that rumor to really. I don't want that rumor necessarily to get spread because of me. So take it for what it's worth. I think that's questionable. but I heard it and I thought it was so crazy that maybe I'll just say it on maybe I'll just say it on this channel. So um, that's that. I, I I don't know. I think because Schneider already said several years ago that Francis told him not to travel as much, or the Vatican like told him to cut down on his traveling because he was traveling all over the world and raising a lot of money for his diocese, probably, kind of promoting his new books. And he wrote a new book called, is it let's see here, Resist Heresy or something. Let me look this up. He just he just released a new book I think it was just a few months ago or something. So this stuff about the SSPX, again, I really don't think, um, I really don't think that is the case. I'm just trying to find his new book. Uh, yes. So let me just look this up here. I want to find the actual title. Flee from Heresy. I knew it had something to do with heresy. He wrote Credo, which was sort of like a catechism to address like the modern, like the very recent errors that were kind of in modern society. And he just released a book titled Flee from Heresy. Um, so, yeah, a Catholic Guide to Ancient and Modern Errors. So, I'm sure it had something to do with what Francis was preaching. And I don't know. I really don't think I don't think the meeting would have. I don't know. I don't think. I don't think. I don't think it's about the SSPX. Let's just say that. All right, so that's all the news I have. In 2021, he visited my diocese, invited there by a group I was in, and he did a traditional Latin Mass, a pro-life retreat, and then later in the evening did a holy hour for life. After the holy hour, he did a question and answer session. I got a Saint Benedict medal blessed by him. That's pretty cool. That's neat to be able to have an opportunity to meet him. I actually went to a mass that was said by him, a Pontifical High Mass, and that was the Mass before one of the Catholic Identity Conferences in Pittsburgh. I have Credo, and I'm planning to buy Flee from Heresy. Yeah, I'd like both of those books. I haven't read either of them, but if I do, you'll know because I'll I'll post a book review on it. So if I ever do get those, um, yeah. So anyway, if Bishop Schneider, so if he gets shut down, I mean, he's just an auxiliary bishop. Like, what's it going to do? He's still going to travel, and same with Bishop Strickland, right? Bishop Strickland's going to travel the world, and so will Schneider, even if he gets shut down. So it's kind of up in the air. What I don't know, and I don't have answers. Unfortunately, I just leave you guys with more questions than answers in that regard, and I do apologize for that. But it's not my job to make up, like invent the news. And whenever I talk about the rumors, when I just mention those rumors, that's sort of what I'm, in a sense, almost doing, which is not my intention. But if anyone has any other information or any opinions on that, let me know. I'd be happy to, I'd be happy to discuss that and see what you guys think. So that's it. And hold on, I got this. Is that kind of more in the spirit of what's going on? Because it's cold here. It's really cold. So anyway, okay, this has been EVTN News. Until next time, wait, gotta put on my magic glasses. I'm Church Militant, and since Church Militant no longer exists, I'll just put on my magic glasses and I can see everything, and I know everything. I know if someone's guilty or not, and so I'll report on all the news regardless, and I'll give you the accurate information with Church Militant's magic glasses or whatever they rebranded as. Gary Voris. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this has been EVTN News. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.